So I'm reviewing a Reverb board to assess if it's the right thing to include in my cosplay setup. You can use it for whatever hobby thing you want to use it for, anything that might be a reverb on a microphone. So here we go. This is just a quick video on a pt2399 microphone reverb board. So it does not have a preamplifier. This brand that I use is Youngy, spelled Youngy. And there's a lot of different brands out there. This one I got for $5.99 on Amazon. There's a bunch around this price. But for the power in, it takes between 6 and 15 volts DC. I've got a 12 volt DC running to it. You can see a light back here signifying that it's on. I'll turn it off. Okay, it's off. Now it's back on. It's got an audio in and it's got an audio out. So your audio in is coming from your preamp or mic with preamp, and your audio out goes to your amplifier. As noted before, I made the mistake of buying these previously and attempting to just put a mic directly into it. That does not work. It has to have a preamp. Otherwise, it will not hear it and process anything over to your amp. Okay, so with your mic and preamp, you plug that in. It processes through the board based off of where your single potentiometer is stationed, and then it processes out through your amplifier. Note that it does have an R27 resistor that can be removed, which I'll point to it here. You can kind of see where my screwdriver is coming in the screen there. But that can be removed, and then this is a slot for a potentiometer here. 20K to 50K potentiometer, just like this one here. To where you could, if you wanted to, put something and turn it and adjust the reverb style. So if you're familiar with reverb style or not, there's essentially, like, I don't know what the official terms are for them, but there's like one that does distance. So based off of the sound, it'll sound like it's either a close bounce or a very far bounce. So either sound like you're in a cave or in a canyon versus whether you're inside a big metal tube that's just like right around your shoulders, you know. So how quick does it bounce? And then there's also the number of times of which it bounces. So does it just bounce once and come back? Does it bounce a dozen times and be done? And then of course, depending on if you're rather than a bigger distance, and if you're just in a small distance like this, then it's just like, even if it's 12 times, it's going to be right here and it'll still go over quick. But so it just affects the sound. But this has basically one sound style setup, and it's just kind of in the middle of the two. And then if that's good enough for you, great. Otherwise, you do have that option to remove the R27. And it does, on the Youngy profile for this write-up, it actually does recommend which resistor to remove and add your potentiometer. So that's nice that they actually included that, and they didn't leave that to guessing. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and just give you a sample of what it sounds like. Okay. Test, test, test. Okay, this is at max setting. Hopefully you can hear that. This is at max setting with potentiometer. I'm going to turn it down, and you can kind of hear it easing up a little bit. But now, so I'm turning this down. So now it's just basically passing the mic audio without adding any reverb. So that kind of just gives you a general idea. And again, if you don't like this style of reverb, such as this, it's a bit echoey. It's a little too echoey for my taste. So I might try and do this, and if I do, I will share the results with you guys and let you know what it sounds like. But so just an overview, this is my complete setup as I would have it. You don't see the plug that's plugged in off here, but if you were going to integrate it into a costume, what you'd need to do is, since this is a 6 to 15 volt power input, you could use your Lipo battery. So here's my mic with preamp. If you need a small form factor mic with preamp, you can refer to one of my previous videos. I'll put it somewhere in this screen or something so you can find it, or have it go after this, something like that. Anyway, so a preamp, which this is the mic with the preamp. It's essentially a preamp board with a mic built onto it. So you can use that, but you do have to have a 1 million ohm resistor in the circuit somewhere. Typically, I don't know about if this removes the need for that. I basically got it on the back end because this was my original wire that I had going into that, and I've got the 1 million ohm resistor, and then just one of these things to go out. And this is just for simplified testing. If this was a long-term project where I was integrating it into a helmet or something like that, then I'd probably use an actual cable, or just solder on one of those ends that's more permanent rather than this kind of more test end where it's just got the big bulky screw things. But either way, whatever fits your bill. If you don't like soldering, then this is fine too. Yeah. So if you wanted to deal with this here with the power coming in, you could use the same power that you're feeding your mic and have a splitter. I do have a separate video where I have batteries, these Lipo batteries that go into a splitter, along with a conversion to a specific voltage. Now, the one that I did a video on was specifically for 5 volts, but it can go for whatever chipset is that you buy to convert. So I've got another one that goes up higher, and I'm going to have to use that one if I utilized something like this. So then you could then run your power through one of those voltage converters, or well, correction, it would come from here to a split and then split to the mic and split over to the board. But before the board, it would have a voltage booster, I think is technically what they call it. So this is 3.7 volts, this Lipo battery. So you'd go into a device that would then convert that 3.7 volts into anything between 6 and 15 volts. Let's see if I've got one handily available. Here's some voltage converters. Here's a bulky one. I would not use this one. It actually has a display on it, but it can convert from, 4 volts on up to 35 volts if you wanted to. I actually have something of these, which I have yet to actually use yet. So this goes from 3.7 volts up to 5, 8, 9, 12. So I could use it for this thing. But these are crazy small, and they come in this pack of 12. And you can just snap these bad boys off. They just come all together, but they're super small. But yeah, I mean, so you could solder that in. And when I built the first one, you can watch my other video where I put an inline voltage converter. It was super easy, and hopefully it's just as easy with these. And yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. But this could fit inside a helmet. Yeah, if that helps you out, hopefully it helps you out. If it does, leave a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe. Take care. I'm out.